started learning Spanish formally when I was at university, but I started learning it informally when I was young. So when I was 18, I lived in the Bay Area in California, and the neighborhood that I lived in, most people spoke Spanish because there were lots of people that had arrived from Central America at that time. So this was the early 90s, and I was kind of at that point in my life, especially, I was open to everything, so I absorbed so much. And then when I started learning Spanish formally at the university, I realized without any effort, gained or absorbed a lot of information about different cultures of Latin America, but also knew far more vocabulary than I realized. So, and I mean, that's really how we learn languages, right? We absorb them or pick them up rather than learn them and understand them. So this is my first year, second semester working with the Honors College, and I taught my own class in the fall, but this is my first class team teaching. When you're partnered with another CSU professor, your fields could be incredibly different. I mean, I know the professor I'm working with right now is a professor of music, of voice, opera. When we met several times and were brainstorming where are some points in common in our teaching and research that we could put into a class that students would enjoy. And so I didn't really know that much about it, but when I'm in Seville, Spain, I often see posters where you could do a walking tour and learn about opera in Seville. And we talked about that, and he's like, yeah, I mean, students absolutely love those. And so, he would talk about the musical components, and many of the students are music and theater students. So they're able to add quite a lot to the class. And from my perspective, I mean, I can obviously talk about the context of Seville and why was that an attractive space for operas in French and Italian, and so what's so special about that place, and also looking more at the literary sources that those opera were inspired by. So when the artists play, you have Little Richard singing Ready Teddy, Fats Domino, right, who had been an R&B singer for many years. I always wanted to do study abroad because I had lived in Spain for a while, and I mean, I would have been happy, honestly, to do study abroad in any Spanish-speaking country, because the idea of being able to visit new places is always motivating to me. But when I was here, when I came to Columbus State, the dean at the time asked me to do a program because our department already had a really successful program in Mexico, and we thought that by having one that was structured in a similar way, that would be a good strategy to grow the Spanish program and just provide more opportunities to students. And so it was a very good model. And of course, I had lived in Seville for several years, Seville, Spain, and so that was kind of the obvious choice of where to set up a program, because I had contacts there with the language school, and obviously I knew my way around, and I knew that there would be lots of cultural activities and excursions for students that would be meaningful and worthwhile. When I've gotten feedback from students and I ask them, what did you like the most? So in the classes, in those classes, it's really what students bring to the class, because when you're having activities the night before, you're going out with friends, you go into the class and you have lots of questions like, can you explain to me, we saw this festival going on the street, what's going on there? Or my host mom asked me this question, what did she mean? And so students have things they want to talk about. And when you're in small classes with just a few students, maybe 6, 7, 8, then you have time to ask lots of questions. But I think the other thing from the class that I've gotten good feedback from students on is that the other students in the class often aren't from the United States, right? So they're from other European countries, they might be from Asia, from Africa, from all over the world. Or they might be from Georgia Southern or somewhere nearby. And the fact that they're able to make friends, not just in the group of CSU students, but beyond. And so people will say like, oh my God, I'm on Instagram with this guy from Ireland that I met, and I'm totally gonna go there and visit next summer. That's really the whole point of study abroad, is gaining new perspectives. right? And when you meet people from other countries, they're sharing that perspective, but you're also gaining a new perspective just by, removing yourself from your day-to-day life.